Hi, hey, and hello there. Obi-Han here, and welcome back to the Comic High Ground. Alright, we are here to talk about probably one of the biggest showdowns in comics this year. Actually, is one of many, because in case you all don't know about it, DCKO is going on right now. And while I hadn't really talked about it on this channel, and I might later on when it finishes, but right now I had to talk about this particular little mini series because we're talking about DCKO Nightfall, and what this is basically Batman versus Batman. And yeah, if you don't know what I'm talking about, then it probably sounds weird. No, Bruce isn't fighting himself, but he's fighting his sons. So just, I guess, as a little bit of a homework, or not homework, but some details before we get into this particular video. Joker has pretty much taken out Batman, and he snuck him with some type of bazooka harpoon, and Batman's like in his armor. I don't know the full details, obviously, because I hadn't read that issue yet. I kind of jumped straight into this, but basically Joker took Batman out, and he was out of the tournament. Now Batman, being who he is, had prep time for this particular incident. Like he prepared for someone taking him out, so it's like he had on this apocalyptic armor, and the armor basically pretty much apparently made it so he wouldn't die, because from what we see in the comic, anybody who's been taken out so far, they get turned into like this little stone statue or something like that. But Batman's little stone statue only sat there for like a couple of seconds, and then he teleported out, and then he ended up in Gotham. So his contingency was that the armor would immediately take him back to Gotham if he got taken out of the tournament. Meaning Batman found a way to cheat the system, and even if he lost the tournament, he wouldn't per se fully lose, because Batman, being the person he is, would have been like, "Yep, no, dog, I get extra lives. Sorry, I'm back up in this mud." But I don't know. At some point, I'm sure he'll find his way back. But right now is not that time, because he does end up getting zapped into Gotham, but it's not his Gotham. And that's the catch, right? That's the tricky part, because he's like, okay, my plan worked, and he's like, wait, what's this? This isn't Gotham. What's going on? So before this issue even starts good, you do see a flashback of Bruce responding to 911 thing with Professor Pig, but he said that he's running late, and he also mentions that he's old. So he gets there, and come to find out, Nightwing, Robin, and Red Hood are there. And yes, it's incredibly stupid to say Robin, but I'll talk about that in another video. But anyway, Dick Grayson, Tim Drake, Jason Todd, and Damian Wayne are all there. They've already taken care of it. They responded to it and everything. And Batman's kind of like marveling at all of his sons and how they are, their strengths, and what make them kind of better than him in a way. So that's the first thing we see in this issue. And I know I'm kind of backwards bringing this up now, but I had to bring it up so we can talk about this next part. So Bruce, again, is in this new Gotham, and then all of a sudden he's set upon by all these Robins, and he's like, okay, no, these are not any Robins that I recognize. But as they attack them, because they said other Batman sided or something like that, as they attack him, he starts to realize, he's like, okay, no, these guys weren't trained by me, obviously, because they don't fight like me. I fight, from the shadows, with this precision and everything, but they're more flashy, they're more agile. And he's like, I know exactly who trained them. So they're chasing him, and he's like, yeah, they're chasing me somewhere, and I know that they're chasing me to a particular point. However, I want to know what's going on, so I'm gonna let them chase me. So they chase him until he gets to who he knows is the person who trained them, that being Dick Grayson, who is now Batman. And this Dick Grayson Batman, is pretty much from the get, he has beef with Bruce. He's like, you shouldn't have come back, Bruce. You done effed up. So they kind of get to fighting a little bit, and Bruce is kind of trying to figure out what's going on, because he's like, wait, you're Batman now. I mean, I always knew you'd be able to be Batman, but and Nightwing's not, well, Nightwing, Dick Grayson Batman's not really hearing it. And he's pissed. He's really pissed at Bruce, and we don't know why right now. We just know he's really pissed at Bruce. And as they kind of go back and forth with their fighting, you find out that Bruce got into the Lazarus pit, and which is shocking to him. But then we also find out that Selena got into the Lazarus pit at one point. So Dick kind of says, you went crazy just like Ross, just like Talia, just like Selena. And that, again, that catches Bruce's attention, like Selena. So eventually they stop fighting, and Nightwing. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm gonna keep saying Nightwing because that's how I know him. But he brings him back to his base, and he comes to find out he has this thing called Robin Incorporated, which is pretty much Robin's, like, I think, all across the nation, and it's pretty much being run by all the Titans, and they have this really nice, good system, and pretty much everything is running smoothly. They take in people who need help, whoever wants to be a Robin, they take them in, they train them, and they help them be better people or help them protect people. And that's why Nightwing's like, look, man, I'm gonna give you a chance. Like, just leave, stop popping up here, or I'm sending you back to Arkham. And then Batman's pretty much like, look, man, there's this tournament going on, to get power to beat Darkseid. I was in it. I don't know what's going on with all this. And again, this is why Nightwing is like, yeah, this is a Lazarus pit. You're crazy. So Batman eventually stops trying to convince him of that, but he does say, hey, look, I didn't want you to be Batman. I wanted you to continue being Nightwing. I wanted you to keep your identity. I didn't want you to take on this mantle. And Nightwing's kind of like, whatever, man. You breed your people or whatever. I'm Batman. And Batman's like, okay, but would you want any of your Robins to take on that mantle? And at that point, Nightwing he's kind of quiet. He's like, I mean, no, but I'm not gonna tell you that. So they kind of have this disagreement again, and again, Nightwing is basically like, look, man, we're not gonna have this, right? So he puts his cowl back on, because I forgot to mention he did take his cowl off, and he's pretty much like got this Reed Richards black and gray hair going on. And when Bruce refuses to stand down because he's trying to figure out what's going on, how he got there and everything, and trying to figure out how to get back to the his Gotham in the Apocalypse, in the KO tournament going on, Nightwing pretty much puts his cowl back on, and he's like, all right, we about to go at it. And Batman's like, don't forget who trained you. And Nightwing's like, I beat you before, old man. So they go at it, right? They go at it. They fight, they box, and Bruce is actually on the back foot, because he's commenting on Nightwing's fighting style and how precise and how he can move around pretty much without really thinking. His that's how his body, he has his body or muscle memory with his fighting. One could say he almost has like Ultra Instinct. But Nightwing is pretty much getting the better of him. And one thing that the comic wants to keep or make sure you remember is that Bruce is older. And that's something that I hadn't been reading Batman comics until recently. But one thing I saw, I think I was on Crisis, the YouTube channel Crisis. He had made a few videos, and he was talking about how the comics are definitely writing Bruce as like older now, and it's starting to show more and more. And they've done different things like making him younger by different means, and so I guess it's getting to the point now where they're not trying to focus on that as much, because again, this story very much so leans on Batman getting older. So Nightwing gets the better of him. He does. He manages to knock Batman down, and at this point, he's like, "Look, man, just stop, okay? Just give it up. I'm Batman. You just need to go on somewhere else." And again, Batman's kind of monologuing to himself about everything. But Batman's like, look, no, fight me. I'm gonna win this, all right? There's no ifs, ands, or buts. And they argue a little bit more as they fight. And Batman's like, what happened to the rest of where are the others? And then Nightwing, this is when we find out why Nightwing's so pissed with him, because he's like, I mean, you know where they are, man. There could only be one Batman in your head. So you took him out. Jason, Tim, Damon, you took them out because there could only be one Batman. And then Batman has like this shocked expression, and that's where the issue closes out. So that was one hell of a way to close out the issue, because I knew that when they said that Batman had gotten into the Lazarus pit, that meant he did something crazy, because obviously the Lazarus pit pretty much drives people crazy, especially when they first get out of it. So it was just a matter of what he did, because we were just waiting to see what he did, because they had all these measures against Batman showing back up, particularly Bruce, of course. So we're gonna see where this goes from here. Nightwing, of course, would understandably be pissed. Dick Grayson is a very happy-go-lucky character, but it just takes certain things to make him, to set him off, right? So I'm looking forward to seeing what happened, or not what happened, but how this plays out, because Bruce is at this point shocked, because this version of him did the unthinkable, and now he has to figure out what to do in terms of how to get Nightwing, I guess, off his case, and then also how to get back home. So yeah, we're definitely looking forward to this one. It's hard keeping up with these comic schedules, but I'm gonna try to keep up with when they come out. The videos might be a little bit late. It just depends on when I find out that the issues are out. But hit that like button if you like the video. Drop a comment to let me know what you thought about this first round, if you will, of Batman versus Batman, because spoiler alert, he's gonna fight the other ones too. So let me know what you thought of this. Hit that subscribe button for more, and remember, we have the high ground. Catch you later.